Alright, we're gonna start with this new reading log with Tamon's B-side. It is story and art by Yuki Shiwazu. I don't know the last time I read volume 5, but I need to really catch up on other series because I've been just reading too many things at the same time. So I really like this series. It's just fun and it can be a big roller coaster. We have our main character Tamon, and oh my god, again I always forget character's name. She's a housekeeper named Otage. Now this last 2 volumes has been such a fun to read. So in the 6th volume, now Tamon, he's in a group band called Fast Face, with along with other 4 guys, I believe, and they're all like, I think either 2 of them are still in high school and 3 of them are adults, so different ages. But yeah, on volume 6 they actually attend a school festival of Otage, and it was like his first time attending a school festival because, you know, being famous, he does miss a lot of things. And so it was Tamon and Ori. I don't know if you guys remember the characters. So yeah, this is still an ongoing series. It's really fun. I really like it. Now the school festival went really fine, but then our main character Otage, she realized that she has really feelings for Tamon, and she sort of decided to quit her housekeeping job, and that's where she met Tamon. Now Otage, she's a big fan of Tamon, like completely big fan, but ever since then, like, she's been helping Tamon with his personal life, like, because Tamon is always gets depressed and very not self-conscious, but he just have very low self-esteem. And then throughout that, she also meets the other members, and they're also being very supportive of her being around Tamon, because again, whenever Otage is around Tamon, like, he's very motivated, but of course there's times he still has his depressed mode. So once he found out that she quit, like, he was not very happy. And then one day she got called to check on Tamon because Tamon was sick, and since then she realized like she really likes being around Tamon, and she likes what she does, being a housekeeping. And so what she's gonna do now is hide her feelings from Tamon and just be happy around him. Then after that, one of the 5 members named Rintaru, he's kind of quiet. I don't know if he's one of the adults guy, but yeah, he went missing, and now they're trying to find him, and they found out about him. That was a big surprise. Now besides Rintaru, we also got to learn one of the other 5 members named Natsuki. He's basically like the songwriter from the group, and he's been going through tough times because we learn about his ex-girlfriend happened to be Otage's homeroom teacher, and there was like a misunderstanding about their past, but now they kind of like reunited and kind of like hush everything from the past. But yeah, Natsuki and that ex-girlfriend happened to be Otage's homeroom teacher. They're all good now, but right now the main problem is Rintaru, the other member, because he decided to say that he's gonna quit the band, and I guess they found out that he goes to college and that he's obsessed with a certain anime. But yeah, really fun story. I really like Tamon's B-side. I found out that there's gonna be an anime soon, so that's gonna be fun. Yeah, it can be a big roller coaster, but actually I enjoy it. It's not very like predictable or cheesy, but it's fun. But now Otage's got to figure out about her feelings, but most importantly, she just wants to support Tamon's side. Yeah, that's why it's called Tamon B-side. It's really fun. I definitely recommend it. But yeah, really fun to read. Okay, what we have next, it's Natsumi Book of Friends. Yes, I finally reading more of this series. I think because I was just waiting for the volumes to come out because they were slowly restocking. So I read 3 and 4, and this is by Yuki Midori Kawa. I really like Natsumi Book of Friends. It's just a lot of unpredictable events happen. It can be creepy because sometimes the yokai can appear in his room. Like, it's sort of almost like a jump scare, but like in a good way. And yes, so this is just all about yokai. Natsumi has this thing called Book of Friends, where his grandmother originally owned it, where he made contracts from other yokais and basically kind of like become a slave. And then now that he has the book, there's a lot of yokais been coming to him because they want to be freed from that book. And then he also met this cat. He called him Sensei or Nyanko. He also wants the book of friends, but for now, he acts like a bodyguard, but he's pretty funny and cool. But yeah, really fun to read if you like yokai. But again, it can be a bit of, sometimes it can be creepy. So yeah, there were a lot of things happen, but most of the time he was helping like yokai with their situation where someone was separated, or sometimes yokai have a relationship with a human. One was that this human suddenly stopped seeing yokai, and then there was another human who kind of fell in love with a yokai, but then they got separated. Yeah, most of the story here is Natsumi helping yokai, and he did relinquish one yokai's name, but most of it was just helping the yokais. And then there's another person like Natsumi, but he's more like an exorcist, named Ori, and he's also a celebrity. He also introduced Natsumi with other exorcists, and so he brought him to an event where there's also yokai in this event. And then something happened because a terrible yokai decided to intervene, but everything was cool about after that. And then Ori decided to take Natsumi to a hot spring because he was doing a case. And of course, Natsumi was kind of like, okay, whatever. Now, when it comes to Natsumi, like all his life, he just felt alone. It seems like nobody understand him. But now that he has this new life, being, who's taking care of the book of friends, and then he has the cat, he doesn't feel like too lonely. He feels less lonely, and at the same time, he's actually making a lot of acquaintances with the yokai. And then the guardians that he's living with him seems very accepting, because he's been actually living with other relatives, and he's always getting not kicked out, but just keep transferring because growing up, he keeps seeing yokai, and then people either get scared of him or creep out, or the guardians just doesn't understand what he's going through. But now he's slowly realizing that this is not a bad life. He has friends now, and he's okay seeing yokai because he's either helping them or, just trying to make things better for both ways, if that makes sense. Yeah, really like Natsume Burger Friends. I did watch a couple episodes of the anime because there's already over 4 to 5 seasons. Yeah, I'm way behind on the anime, but that's okay. And I only have 1 to 8 when it comes to the volumes. Then I have 10, 12, 16, and then 28 to 30. Yeah, I have a lot of missing volumes, so that's why I didn't want to rush reading this, because I want to make sure I have all the volumes. But right now, I think they're slowly restocking the rest. I hope so, because the volume's been out of stock for a long time. But yeah, I really love Natsume Book of Friends, and I heard this series is very popular. Okay, what we have next is Kamisama Kiss. I read 2 and 3. It is by let's see, Julieta Suzuki. I really like this story. It's fun and can be unpredictable. Our main character, Tomo and Nanami suddenly was invited to this place, and she became pretty much a Kamisama, Tochigama, because she didn't have anywhere place to go, and this man offered this place. And then she was completely in shock because she met all this yokai, and then one of them is Tomo, which is her Shinshin, kind of an assistant. But yeah, so far the story is really good. Now in the last 2 volumes, a lot of things happen, but first Nanami decided to go back to school because of an idol, but then later on she found out that this idol is a Tengu, a type of yokai. But eventually they sort of become an acquaintance, and yeah, then after that her shrine was taking over another Tochigama because she really wanted Tomo, but then Tomo denied, and then she decided to do something to Tomo, and eventually Tomo and Nanami had to go live with the Tengu, which is Nanami's classmate. And yeah, he decided to help them out. Then after that, they were able to get back the shrine back because they made a deal with that Tochigama. Then furthermore, on volume 3, One day, Nanami got a bite from this snake. He is also a Shinshin for a different shrine because he's actually waiting for his Tochigama to come back, but then I think she just either disappeared or left, and then Tomo got pissed because he decided to kidnap her. The reason why she got bitten, I think it was purposely done because this Shinshin wants to marry Nanami, but of course Nanami doesn't really want that to happen. It is because Nanami seems to have feelings for Tomo, but of course Tomo doesn't know that. So after that, after Tomo rescue Nanami, let's see what else happened in volume 3. Oh, after the incident with this Shinshin, Nanami actually got sick, but then she really wanted to go back to school, but Tomo decided to take over her place, and so that means Tomo just like Nanami, and yeah, he just really looked like Nanami, and yeah, it was his first time by himself, and all the girls, of course, was kind of in shock that he is acting kind of weird, and then he had to deal with a yokai in school, and then the tango classmate decide to help out. Yeah, they don't really get along, but somehow they have to kind of like work together if there's a yokai, especially in school. Now, Nanami also learned a little bit about Tomo because this Shinshin decided to came over to help out, and I think he just have something against with Tomo, and so he kind of showed her a little bit about Tomo's past. And let's just say like Tomo's a little bit like maybe aggressive back in the days, but of course, Nanami doesn't want to really believe it because her feelings for Tomo is very strong. But yeah, really good story so far. I can see why this series is very popular. I do really like it. Every chapter is always unpredictable and something unexpected. I really like reading about Tomo and Nanami. Their relationship is really fun, but can be, unpredictable. So yeah, the illustrations here is really nice. I believe this is an early 2000 illustration because it's very similar with the other art styles with the early 2000 manga. I could be wrong. I have not seen the anime because I prefer to read the manga. Yes, I only have up to 3 volumes in my collection, but I'll slowly get the rest. I heard some of the volumes might be hard to get, so hopefully that's not true. But yeah, really enjoy Kami-sama Kiss so far. Alright, I just ventured this series, and I'm so sorry about the background noise. It's sort of late right now, but not too late. So this one's called Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'll do anything to become a librarian, part 1. If there aren't any books, I'll just have to make some. So this series has different parts. So I finally finished the first part, and the author is by Miya Kazuki, artist by Suzuka, character design by Yu Shina. So I read 4, 5, 6, 7. This is actually an isekai about a girl who was reincarnated into this little girl's body. Now her name is Min. She's actually very sick, called the Devouring. And yes, she doesn't have a lot of energy. Like sometimes she collapses and has high fever, but she is very ambitious. She really wants to make her own book, but to start with that, she needs to know or learn how to make paper. When it comes to the book part, only the nobles or the priests have access, and since her family are in the lower class, it's really hard to get those stuff. But yeah, she's very ambitious, and then ever since she had the idea of making paper, it kind of become like a business. She met a man who's a merchant, and they kind of struck a deal, and then slowly she would earn by making. First she started making embroidery hairpin, and that was a very success. I mean, when it comes to the paper part, it's still work in progress. They still made paper, but it's not fully out there. And then she has a friend named Lutz. They're really good friends, and he's always on her side, especially because she's very sick. But then suddenly she realized she can't do this business merchant too long because of her devouring, because whenever she collapsed, she has to be in bed reading. And then one day it was really horrible. Then she was actually saved by this magic tool. So there is magic in this story, but only nobles has it. But yeah, she was saved, and then she realized in order to continue living, she has to make enough money to get saved again because of this certain magic tool. And then there's this thing called the Baptist ceremony. So she went on this Baptist ceremony, and then she was kind of laughing because the high priest made some dance kind of remind her on her old world. And then of course she didn't really collapse, but then Lutz was very worried because he was there also. So an attendant took her to another room for her to rest, but she was left alone, and then she was wandering out, and then she found a room full of books, and of course she was curious, and she couldn't enter because there was a barrier, because again, there's magic. And so she was curious how she's able to get access, and they said that in order to get access, you have to become a shrine maiden, but her parents are against it because usually shrine maiden or maybe lower castes are not treated well, they don't really get paid. But then before all that, she did meet the high priest, and then she's sort of mentioning her sickness called devouring, and then they kind of like went in shock, and then he let her touch this chalice, and then something came out like it's almost like if you watch those isekai, it kind of like test your power, and the chalice kind of shone, and then they were like in shock because apparently this devouring is actually mana. And so her parents were ordered to meet the high priest, and the high priest was very demanding, like, we want her so bad. But then they had condition that they wanted to discuss, but the high priest definitely didn't want to hear it. And so it kind of like went chaotic, and then all of a sudden Main, her power like came out, her mana was showing, and then somehow she was able to like control the priest, and he kind of like, you know, was very hurt by that. And then another priest was saying like, Mean, you need to control your power. And so she did, and they finally discussed the condition that they want in order for Min to stay in the temple and kind of become like an apprentice. And in order to do that, they wanted her to be a noble instead of a, I forgot what it's called. There's like a noble and or something else, because there's two different robes, the blue robes and the gray robes. The gray robes is mostly who are orphan. I am so sorry if this is all confusing. I tried to like not to say too much because there were a lot of things happen in the story, but I wanted to just discuss what's more important. But yeah, they finally discussed their condition. The parents agreed as long as she can go home, as long as she become a blue uniform, and then as long she still can continue doing her, you know, her side jobs, because that's the only way for her to earn money. So yeah, I really like this story. It's so cool. That definitely made a turn of events when, you know, we learn about her mana, that her devouring is a good and a bad thing. Though I do want to add this, Lutz do eventually realize that Min is not the same Min that he's known before, and so she does discuss to Lutz about her true identity, and Lutz is very acceptful. And then she also meets this girl named Frida. She has a divine, but they don't even know anything about the divine until later. Now, she's a noble. When it comes to the divine, it cannot be cured, but if you have that magic too, it'll help you and save you and make you live longer. So yeah, Min, I think there's gonna be a lot of good things happen to her, especially about now that she knows about the divine. And then her business is, you know, doing well, but her main goal is really to make, you know, her own book. But now that she might be able to get access in that room, who knows. And then this series has so many parts. Again, I don't know how many parts, but yeah, I am loving this series. I can't believe we know more about her devouring. Her business is doing well, and I'm happy for the parents because, you know, they'd have struggled along the way, but now that she's doing this and that, it's been helping the family, you know, with their situation. But yeah, really like this story. I'm so glad I finally like read this. It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. Okay, this is gonna be my last reading for the week. So this one's called The Heroic Legend of Arslan, story by Yoshiki Tanaka, manga by Hiromi Arakawa, which is the same mangaka who wrote Full Metal Alchemist. I really like this series a lot. It's very historical. Of course, there's gonna be a lot of fighting, kind of gory, a little bit of politics and religion, because our main enemy, they believe certain things, and you know, if you don't convert, well, practically, you know what's gonna happen. But yeah, Arslan and his companion are still on the run. They did find a place for a well, but then the leader of that place had a different plan, so they had to escape. And then, however, the Lusitanian, is it Lusitanian? Lusitanian soldier were caught up, and so Arslan, Elam, and Gib went on their way, while Narcissus ended up by himself, and then we got Darian and Phalanges. If I'm sorry if I pronounced her name, but yeah, they had to go on their separate way because it was just so chaotic. Yeah, of course, there's a battle. There's always a fight, but aside from them, when it comes to the leader of the Lusitanian, which is like the king, like he really wants to marry like Arslan's mom, just because. However, there's like two opposing men where this guy doesn't want to because it's just the whole belief of, you know, tradition, while the king's brother, he doesn't really mind. Like, he just let his big brother, I guess, do whatever he wants. And then something happened, and then this guy decided to leave. So there's been a lot of conflicts. So it looks like the enemy are not very doing well on their part. But other than that, there is that masked guy. There's a lot of mystery behind him. It looks like they're saying like he's supposed to be the rightful king because of what happened to his father. And now when Darian was finding a certain character, he also mentioned that, like, you know, the rightful king is gonna finally show up, and that made Darian kind of like confused because they thought it is Arslan's father. So anyway, I really like this story a lot. I know I could have like kept reading, but then like the end. So the goal for Arslan and his company is to go to the Pesa area. I believe that area is still like an alliance with the Pars, which is Arslan's, you know, side. So hopefully they can get there on time because, again, the Lusitanian are chasing them because there's a price for Arslan because he is the last heir of the family, except the mom is still alive. The father is actually still alive, but the queen, which is the mother, doesn't know that. Or I think she does. But anyway, Arslan doesn't know anything about his family because ever since the Lusitanian came to invade, like, he doesn't know anything, which really sucks. So yeah, this story is so good. I really like it. A lot of the characters have very similarities to the FMA. Kind of reminds me of this character and this character. But yeah, highly recommended reading this story if you're into historical. There's a lot of fights, a little bit of gory, a little bit of politics, and then there's a little bit of supernatural in it too. But other than that, a really good story. And so yeah. Okie dokie, I'm gonna end this reading log. I think it was very successful because a lot of the series, which I haven't read since probably last year, I know that's really bad. So let's start with Timon B-side. I really like this story. It sometimes can be an emotional roller coaster, but Timon is getting better, and we're pretty much learning a lot from the other guys from the group. And then next we have Natsume Book of Friends. Yeah, finally getting started once again. I've watched the anime, maybe a couple episodes, then I stopped because I really want to read the manga. When it comes to Natsume, he's also like getting better of making friends, just staying in the flow and not really think about the past. But I know the past really haunts him, and the fact that it took him for a while to really accept a lot of things. And then next we have Kami-sama Kiss. Really fun fantasy. What else I could say? I mean, it is a popular manga. And then next we have Ascendance of a Bookworm Part 1. I finally finished Part 1. I believe there's like Part 4 and there's a novel. I also really like this series because our main character, Min, she's very inspirational, very ambitious, because, you know, she's very knowledgeable and she's pretty much using what she learned from her own world and then now using it in this world. But she has to really watch what she say because, like, it can be too much because, you know, whatever she say can be like a hint about the future, if that makes sense. And then lastly we have the heroic legend of Arslan. Holy cow, Again, this one was also good. I like it because it's very historical. A lot of things happen. Arslan hopefully will get to the area that they need to, and as well as they did reunite, which I kind of forgot, but the only person they haven't reunite is Narcissus. So now Darian and Elam wants to find him, while Arslan, Give, and Francis decide to keep going. And yeah, so I think the volume 6 is where they're supposed to finally reach that area. But yeah, because I kind of read the back. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading log. Let me know what you guys think of this manga title. Have you read them? Do you like it? But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.